All of you who come to meditate should understand this clearly from the very beginning. Do not practice in a scattered way. Do not practice one method today, another method tomorrow, and then combine several more the day after that. This is not how practice matures. This is not how concentration develops. This is not how clear knowing becomes strong. There is a method. There is a lineage. There is a sequence. There is a way to practice correctly. Mindfulness of breathing is mindfulness of breathing. Observing feeling is observing feeling. Observing the body is observing the body. Loving kindness is loving kindness. Each has its own place. Each has its own purpose. Each has its own method. If you mix them carelessly, the mind becomes confused. When the method becomes confused, concentration cannot deepen. When concentration does not deepen, mindfulness and clear knowing do not become strong. Then you may think you are practicing, but in truth, you have not really entered the Dharma. So today I want to speak very directly about the difficulties that meditators meet again and again. These difficulties are not unusual, they are normal. But if you do not understand them correctly, they become obstacles. If you understand them correctly, they become part of the path. I will speak about these matters. First, what to do when the breath becomes extremely subtle. Second, what to do when thoughts keep running to the past and future. Third, what to do when resentment, emotional pain, and mental agitation keep rising up. Fourth, what to do about restlessness and drowsiness. Fifth, what to do when there is pain, numbness, pressure, trembling, or discomfort in the body. Sixth, what to do when peaceful, spacious, or blissful states arise. Seventh, what to do when unwholesome states and anger arise. And eighth, what to do when thoughts of death appear during the practice of mindfulness of breathing. If you understand these 8 points well, then many confusions in meditation will become clear. Number 1, when the breath becomes extremely subtle. Many meditators become uneasy when the breath grows very soft. At first, when they sit down, the breath feels coarse, loud, obvious, and easy to notice. But after some time, it becomes finer and finer. Then anxiety comes. They begin to wonder, where is the breath? Has it disappeared? Am I doing something wrong? Should I make the breath deeper? Should I control it a little so that I can find it again? You must understand this clearly. When the breath becomes subtle, that does not mean it has disappeared. It is not that there is no breath. It is that your attention is not yet strong enough, and your knowing is not yet refined enough to remain with a very subtle object. If the breath seems faint, do not panic. Do not interfere. Do not take over the breathing process. Do not force the breath to become stronger. Do not make it longer. Do not make it rougher. Do not manufacture a bigger object because your attention is still weak. That is not the way. You are to remain with the breath as it is. Keep the attention at the small area below the nostrils and above the upper lip, the small area around the philtrum. This is the place to stay. This is the chosen object. This is the small field where the work is done. You do not leave it because the breath becomes fine. You do not leave it because other sensations appear elsewhere. You remain there. If the breath is coarse, know it as coarse. If the breath is subtle, know it as subtle. If the breath feels long, know it as long. If the breath feels short, know it as short. If it seems almost absent, remain where the last clear knowing was, and wait with steady mindfulness. Do not leave the object. Do not control the breath. Do not add anything. Do not remove anything. This is why the method is so simple, and because it is simple, people often fail to respect it. They think simplicity means shallowness. It does not. Simplicity means precision. As the mind quiets, the breath naturally changes. At the beginning, it may be like a waterfall. Then it may become like a stream. Later, it becomes like still water. This is a process. It is natural. You are not required to create this process. You are required to know it. Some of you, when the breath becomes subtle, start paying attention to the abdomen, to movements in the body, to energies, to pressure, to warmth, to other sensations. But if the chosen object is the breath at the nostrils, then stay with that. You do not abandon the door because faint sounds begin somewhere else in the house. Practice is like a gatekeeper standing at the gate. A gatekeeper does not run after every person who comes and goes through the city. He remains at the gate. He knows who comes in and who goes out, but he does not leave his post. In the same way, you remain at the nostrils. The breath comes in, the breath goes out, and you know it there. Do not say, I want something more. Do not say, it is too small. Do not say, it is too quiet. Do not say, I need a bigger experience. All of this is just restlessness. If you remain with the subtle breath patiently, naturally, steadily, then concentration becomes sharper, mindfulness becomes stronger, and the knowing becomes finer. In that way, what was once too subtle to know becomes clear by itself. This is the training. And understand one more thing. Mindfulness of breathing is not only a way to calm the mind. If practiced correctly, it also becomes a gateway into insight. You observe the arising and passing of the breath. You begin to know the process of appearance and disappearance directly. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is direct observation. So do not underestimate the breath. Do not get bored with the breath. Do not abandon the breath because it becomes fine. Remain there. Remain steady. Let the Dharma work. Number 2. When the mind keeps running to the past and future. A great number of meditators believe that they are failing simply because thoughts appear. They sit down, and immediately the mind starts remembering the past, planning the future, replaying conversations, imagining outcomes, preparing arguments, revisiting hurts, rehearsing what to say and what not to say. Then discouragement arises. They say, my meditation is no good. My mind is too wild. This is not yet the right understanding. When you are watching the breath, you are also learning about the mind. If the mind runs to the past, know that it has run to the past. If it runs to the future, know that it has run to the future. If thoughts arise and disappear, know that they arise and disappear. Do not be troubled because the mind reveals its habit. Be grateful that the habit is becoming visible. For a long time, many people live completely inside these movements without knowing them. They are always thinking, always reacting, always chasing inner narratives, but they do not know that the mind is doing this. In meditation, at least now you begin to see it. This seeing is important. You do not need to become violent toward thoughts. You do not need to crush them. You do not need to hate them. You do not need to ask, why do I still have thoughts? The mind that asks this in an irritated way is already caught again. When thoughts come, know them. When thoughts go, know them. Then return to the breath. This is all. You do not deliberately chase the thought to discover where it came from. You do not deliberately force the knowing. The teaching is very clear here. If the mind is steadied on the breath, it will naturally become clear whether it has run to the past or to the future. You do not have to create extra mental work in order to know this. If mindfulness is present, the knowing is already there. You must understand the power of simple, honest knowing. If you know, this is remembering. If you know, this is planning. If you know, this is agitation. If you know, this is random mental noise. Then already there is some freedom. The teaching is not that thoughts must never arise. The teaching is that when they arise, they are known correctly. As soon as a thought is known as a thought, it is no longer ruling the whole mind in the same unconscious way. Once there is clear knowing, there is a gap. In that gap, mindfulness can return to the object. So when thoughts proliferate, what should you do? You cultivate calm. You place the attention on one object. You keep the mind from scattering. You remain in one field. You know what is happening. You do not follow the thought stream outward. This is why one-pointedness is so important. If the mind is not trained to remain in one place, then every thought becomes a road leading outward. A meditator must learn to stay. Stay with the breath. Stay with the present. Stay with the chosen object. Stay with the method. If you keep changing methods each time thoughts arise, you will never develop steadiness. One moment you observe thoughts, another moment you switch to body sensations, then you move to emotion, then you return to breathing. Then you start analyzing impermanence. Then you chase another state. This is confusion, not skill. One method at a time. One object at a time. One field of work at a time. If you do this patiently, then gradually the mind becomes less fascinated with its own movement. Thoughts still arise, but they lose force. Thoughts still come, but they do not carry you so easily. Thoughts still appear, but you know them more quickly, more lightly, more cleanly. That is already benefit. That is already progress. Number 3. When resentment, emotional pain, and mental burdens keep rising up. Many people come to meditation thinking the real difficulty will be posture. They think it will be their knees, their back, their shoulders, or the length of the sitting. But after some practice, they discover that the deeper difficulty is often not physical at all. It is what rises from inside when the mind becomes a little quiet. When life is busy, many things remain buried. But when you become still, old resentment, emotional pain, disappointments, grievances, regrets, and unresolved burdens can begin to rush upward. Some people describe it exactly this way. As soon as the mind is about to quiet down, all the troubles of my life come charging in. And then what do? They try to suppress them. They push them down. They fight with them. They insist that meditation should feel peaceful, so they begin a struggle with what has appeared. Then the burden becomes heavier. This is why the teaching is very direct. Do not suppress. If resentment arises, know resentment. If sorrow arises, know sorrow. If memory arises, know memory. If agitation arises, know agitation. Observe its nature. When a thought or emotion arises, observe how it arises, not by analysis, not by storytelling, not by adding more thought, simply by knowing its appearance. Then observe how it disappears. This is very important. You begin to see that these mental formations do not come from some solid, fixed place, and they do not go to some solid, fixed place. They arise according to conditions, and they pass away according to conditions. You may have thought for years, this resentment is me. This pain is me. This anger is my nature. This wound is my identity. But when you watch carefully, you begin to see something else. You see process. You see movement. You see arising and ceasing. The teaching says, when you try to find where the thought came from, it has no solid source. When you try to find where it went, it has no fixed destination. It is not as substantial as your habit tells you it is. This does not mean the emotional pain is unreal in a careless sense. It means it is conditioned, unstable, not self, and knowable. That knowing changes everything. If you suppress resentment, you strengthen it. If you fear it, you strengthen it. If you identify with it, you strengthen it. If you know it clearly, the relationship changes. Some people want meditation to become a blank state where no disturbance ever appears. That is not the point. The point is that when disturbance appears, you know it. When burden appears, you know it. When wounds begin to speak, you know them without drowning in them. This is why awareness must be cultivated again and again. As long as awareness is present, a thought is just a thought. A resentment is just a resentment. A burden is just a burden. It is not the whole sky. It is only a cloud moving through the sky. But many people do not trust simple knowing. They want techniques to erase their emotions immediately. They want quick release. They want instant peace. They want to jump over the work of clear seeing. Do not be impatient. If you have carried resentment for years, why should you expect one sitting to erase it without understanding it? What you must do is learn how to meet it correctly. Observe. Do not suppress. Do not dramatize. Do not identify. Do not fuel it. Remain with the Dharma, remain with the method. Let clear knowing do its work. Number 4, restlessness and drowsiness. Now we come to two major obstacles, restlessness and drowsiness. These are among the hardest obstacles for meditators. Restlessness means the mind keeps leaping outward. Drowsiness means the mind becomes heavy, foggy, dim, and unworkable. Some people swing between the two, first too agitated to settle, then too dull to remain clear. What is the teaching here? First, understand that these are not small matters. A meditator must learn how to work with them. If you do not understand them, they will waste much of your practice. The teaching says that both restlessness and drowsiness are deeply related to the strength or weakness of renunciation. If renunciation is weak, the mind easily becomes slack. If renunciation is weak, it easily chases worldly concerns. If renunciation is weak, the urgency of practice is not alive. So you must cultivate renunciation. This does not mean hatred for the world. It does not mean rejecting life. It means a deep clarity that worldly wandering, habitual craving, and repetitive suffering are not worth clinging to. It means understanding the rarity of human life, the rarity of hearing the Dharma, the uncertainty of death, the reality of karma, the dangers of cyclic existence, and the urgency of using this life well. If this understanding is alive, the mind gains strength. When renunciation is genuine, you do not want to waste your life in confusion. Then the mind stops being so casual. It stops treating meditation like a hobby. It stops treating the path like an interesting option among many. This strength of heart matters. Now, in immediate practice, the teaching is also clear. When restlessness and scattered thinking arise, cultivate calm. Bring the mind back to one object. Do not let it scatter outward. Remain in one field. When drowsiness and heaviness arise, cultivate insight. Bring up clear reflection on suffering, impermanence, not self, the instability of life, and the danger of drifting in ignorance. Drowsiness should not simply be tolerated as if it were harmless. If the mind is sinking into darkness, you must illuminate it. You must rouse the energy of wisdom. Reflect on the truth of suffering. Reflect on the shortness of life. Reflect on the reality of death. Reflect on the danger of wasting rare opportunity. This brightens the mind. Some people say, "I do not know why I become dull." But the teaching is very sharp here. If the mind has not been trained, if the Dharma has not yet entered deeply, if renunciation is weak, then drowsiness will find a place to settle. So do not merely complain about drowsiness. Strengthen the causes that remove it. Listen to the Dharma. Reflect properly. Clarify your view. Strengthen renunciation. Cultivate mindfulness. Steady the mind. Then drowsiness loses its ground. And when restlessness comes, do not feed it with irritation. Restlessness is not overcome by becoming restless about restlessness. Come back to the object. Relax the body slightly if needed. Establish mindfulness again. Hold to one point. Let the scattered currents settle. The teaching does not say this work is easy. It says it is necessary. So when restlessness comes, calm it. When drowsiness comes, illuminate it. And in both cases, do not leave your own body and mind. The whole work is here. Number 5, pain, numbness, pressure, trembling, discomfort. Now let us speak about the body. Many practitioners are quickly overwhelmed by pain, numbness, pressure, heat, cold, trembling, tightness, swelling, soreness, or heaviness. As soon as discomfort appears, the mind begins reacting, but the teaching is very direct. Observe it as it is. If there is numbness, observe numbness. If there is pain, observe pain. If there is pressure, observe pressure. If there is soreness, observe soreness. If there is trembling, observe trembling. Do not immediately assume something is wrong. In many cases, meditation has not created the discomfort. Meditation has only made you more sensitive. What was already there becomes visible. Before, you were too distracted to know it. Now, you begin to know. This is not failure. This is increasing sensitivity. But there must also be method. If your chosen practice in that sitting is mindfulness of breathing, and strong pain suddenly becomes dominant, you may bring attention for a while to the painful area and know the sensation directly. This is a way of observing feeling. But do not stay there too long without clarity, and do not let the whole sitting become a confused mixture of methods. Once the pain has been clearly known, return to the chosen object if that is the method you are practicing. If the sitting is specifically for observing feeling, then follow the method of observing feeling. Move through the body as instructed. Know the sensations as sensations. Do not select only what you like. Do not avoid what you dislike. And here the teaching becomes even more important. The point is not only to notice sensation. The deeper point is not to activate your old habits in response to sensation. Pleasant sensation comes, and habit wants to grasp. Painful sensation comes, and habit wants to resist. Neutral sensation comes, and habit wants to ignore. This is how suffering keeps reproducing itself. Observing feeling correctly means training yourself not to react with craving and aversion. You observe feeling without falling into the old pattern. This is why the teaching says that observing feeling is a method of cutting unwholesome habit at the root. A meditator must understand this well. Otherwise, one may think, meditation is going badly because there is pain. Not necessarily. Sometimes meditation begins to go more deeply, precisely when you stop fleeing pain and start knowing it correctly. The body may suffer, but the mind does not have to suffer in the same way. Many people add a second suffering on top of the first. There is one physical pain, and then the mind adds, I cannot bear this. Why is this happening? When will it end? This is ruining my meditation. That added layer is mental proliferation. The teaching points towards something deeper. The body may experience pain, but the mind can learn not to be dragged around by it. This is a very important training. If mindfulness, concentration, and clear knowing become strong, then even when sensations remain in the body, the mind is no longer disturbed in the same way. Some people call this a kind of discovery. The body feels, but the heart does not collapse into feeling. This does not mean numbness or indifference. It means freedom from being dominated by sensation. So when pain appears, do not flee immediately. When numbness appears, do not panic. When pressure appears, do not become dramatic. Know it. Know it steadily. Know it without habit. This is good practice. Number 6. Peaceful, spacious, light, blissful states. Now let us speak of another danger, not the danger of pain, but the danger of pleasantness. When the mind becomes somewhat calm, and when practice becomes steadier, various pleasant states may appear. The body may feel light. The breath may become very subtle. The limbs may feel as if they are disappearing. Warmth may move through the body. The atmosphere may feel quiet, harmonious, still, spacious, or luminous. Some meditators feel surrounded by a peaceful field. Others feel the body becoming very light, very still, almost absent. These things can happen. The teaching does not say they are wrong. It says they are normal. But normal does not mean you should cling to them. This is where many people go wrong. The moment a peaceful state arises, they want to remain inside it. The moment a pleasant stillness comes, they decide that this is the goal. The moment there is spaciousness or subtle joy, they want to preserve it. Then attachment enters. The teaching is very direct. Do not stop there. Do not settle there. Do not become attached to comfort. Do not become attached to peaceful atmosphere. Do not become attached to inner pleasantness. A true practitioner must have inner strength. If the heart becomes weak in the face of comfort, then progress stops. So what should you do when these states arise? Exactly what you do with other states. Know them as they are, and do not leave the method. If the object is the breath, remain with the breath. If peace appears, know peace. If lightness appears, know lightness. If spaciousness appears, know spaciousness. If the body feels absent, know that. But do not leave the object to chase the state. This is crucial. Some people begin pursuing lights, images, and special inner scenery. They stop practicing properly and begin collecting experiences. This is not reliable. If you cling to phenomena, you leave the route. Then you may become fascinated but not liberated. So the instruction is very simple. Do not cling to comfort. Do not cling to stillness. Do not cling to light. Do not cling to inner scenery. Remain with the object. Remain with the Dharma. Continue upward. If these states support steadiness and faith, fine. But do not mistake them for completion. They are not the final point. They are only conditions arising in practice. What matters is whether the mind becomes more stable, more clear, less reactive, less greedy, less resistant, less confused. If pleasant states arise and your greed increases, that is not good. If pleasant states arise and mindfulness becomes more stable, that is different. So do not ask first, is this a high state? Ask instead, am I remaining with the method? Am I becoming more clear? Am I clinging? The path is not strengthened by fascination. It is strengthened by correct practice. Number 7, unwholesome states, anger, ill will. Sometimes what arises in meditation is not just random thought. Sometimes it is clearly unwholesome. Anger, irritation, resentment, hostility, disgust, aversion, sharp judgment. What do you do then? The teaching is very clear. When unwholesome mental states arise, use the appropriate antidote. In particular, when anger or ill will arises, Cultivate loving kindness. Do not merely stare at anger while secretly feeding it. Do not merely say, I am observing, while inside you are still burning. The teaching does not say that all states are handled identically. It says you must know the state and apply the Dharma correctly. Loving kindness is the antidote to hatred. If anger arises, cultivate loving kindness. If hostility arises, cultivate loving kindness. If the heart becomes hard, cultivate loving kindness. This is not sentimental. This is skillful means. Some people are afraid of defilements in a helpless way. They fear greed, hatred, and delusion, as if the appearance of these states proves they are hopeless. But this is not wisdom. If you fear them blindly, they rule you. The teaching uses a striking image here. Defilements are like poisonous snakes. If you only fear the snake, then you remain weak forever. But if you learn the skill of handling the snake, then the snake no longer terrifies you in the same way. In the same way, greed, hatred, and delusion can dominate an untrained mind. But a wise practitioner learns how to work with them, how to transform the force of these states, and how not to be defeated by them. This is not permission to indulge them. It is instruction to develop skill. The moment anger arises, do not collapse. Do not become discouraged. Do not say, because anger appeared, my meditation is ruined. Instead say, now the work is here. Apply loving kindness. Restore mindfulness. Clarify the mind. You must also understand that anger does not arise in a vacuum. It arises when mindfulness and clear knowing have been lost. If right mindfulness were strong at that moment, anger would not take shape in the same way. So do not only think about repairing the anger after it arises. Train mindfulness before it arises. The whole path supports itself in this way. Mindfulness protects the mind. Clear knowing protects mindfulness. Correct view supports both. Renunciation strengthens energy. Loving kindness softens anger. Calm steadies the mind. Insight sees through confusion. This is why you must practice the whole training with sincerity. And when anger or resentment arises, remember this: do not waste time in inner entanglement. Use the time to practice. Use the time to apply the method. Use the time to deepen calm and insight. Otherwise, you remain in a knot of self-concern, and the Dharma does not get a chance to work. So do not fear defilements in a foolish way. Learn how to meet them. Learn how to transform them. Learn how to practice when they arise. That is real strength. Number 8. When thoughts of death arise during mindfulness of breathing. Finally, let us speak about a deeper question. Sometimes during mindfulness of breathing, thoughts of death arise. A practitioner may think, what if this breath goes out and does not come back? What if this inhalation is my last? What should a meditator do if death comes in that very moment? This question is not to be answered with imagination. It is not to be answered with fantasy. It is not to be answered with spiritual drama. The teaching is very clear. The matter is decided by the Dharma, not by your speculation, not by panic, not by fantasy, not by some strange performance of what you think a meditator should do. What matters is this: do you have the strength of calm? Do you have the strength of insight? If calm is real and insight is real, then the Dharma functions. If the Dharma has entered the mind through practice, then at the crucial moment, the Dharma determines the movement, not mere fear and concept. This is why the practice of mindfulness of breathing is not only a relaxation method. Properly understood, it has profound urgency. Breath and life are intimately bound together. One breath out, one breath in. Life is hanging there. Death is hanging there. The whole matter is that close. To know this rightly is not morbidity. It is sobriety. The point is not to become frightened in a worldly way. The point is to let the fragility of breath awaken urgency, renunciation, and sincerity in practice. If you understand that life is uncertain, then every breath becomes precious. If you understand that death can come at any time, then you stop wasting time in scattered mind. If you understand that the path must be walked now, then mindfulness becomes alive. But again, do not turn this into another thought game. Do not start rehearsing death in the imagination. Practice the Dharma now. If calm is cultivated now, it will matter then. If insight is cultivated now, it will matter then. If the mind learns to stay with reality now, it will matter then. So when thoughts of death arise, do not become afraid. Let them deepen practice. Let them sharpen sincerity. Let them strengthen renunciation. Let them remind you that this is not the time to be careless. Entrust the matter to the Dharma by practicing properly now. That is the answer. So all of you, remember this well. Do not practice in confusion. Do not practice with constant switching. Do not chase novelty. Do not mix methods carelessly. Do not leave your own body and mind. If the breath becomes subtle, remain with it. If the mind runs to the past and future, know it and return. If resentment rises, do not suppress it. Observe it clearly. If restlessness comes, cultivate calm. If drowsiness comes, awaken insight and renunciation. If pain comes, know pain. If numbness comes, know numbness. If peace and pleasantness come, do not cling. If anger comes, cultivate loving kindness. If thoughts of death arise, deepen the practice and let the Dharma do its work. This is not a complicated path, but it is a demanding one. It requires sincerity. It requires steadiness. It requires humility. It requires correct method. It requires patience. It requires that you stop negotiating with your defilements and start practicing. Many people want extraordinary results while refusing ordinary discipline. This cannot be. If you want the path to open, then respect the method. If you want mindfulness to grow, then guard the object. If you want insight to arise, then stop scattering the mind. If you want freedom, then practice with continuity. Do not ask for too much outer excitement. Do not look for some distant secret. Do not think the Dharma is far away. The Dharma is in this breath. The Dharma is in this pain. The Dharma is in this thought being known. The Dharma is in this feeling being observed. The Dharma is in this mind being steadied. The Dharma is in this present moment. Practice here. Know here. Awaken here. If you practice correctly, the Dharma will guide you. If you practice correctly, the Dharma will help you. If you practice correctly, many confusions will clear by themselves. So remain steady. Remain honest. Remain simple. Remain in the method and continue